today we are going to discuss the Spanish tragedy, Act 2. So Act 2 has 6 scenes, and we are going to discuss a summary of Act 2 from the Spanish tragedy. Okay. Now, in the Act 1, we have seen there is a war between Spain and Portugal. There is a war, and in this war, Spain gets victory, and Balthazar, the Prince of Portugal, is taken as captive. And the main character, Horatio, is killed in the war. Sorry, not Horatio, it is Horatio's friend, Andrea, is killed. And we come to know that Andrea is in love with Bellmperia, the daughter of the King of Spain and sister of Lorenzo, the Prince of Spain. And when the play opens, it opens with a ghost scene. Andrea, who was not allowed because he was not given proper funeral. So when he was permitted to the underworld, he meets a king, and he was sent with the revenge angel to satisfy his fear. And he comes to the earth to seek the revenge for the murder. And meanwhile, Balthazar happens to see Bellmperia and falls in love with Bellmperia. Now, ambassador from Portugal comes to Spain for a diplomatic agreement. And with this small introduction to Act 1, we'll now get into Act 2. Now, Act 2, the Spanish tragedy. So, the Spanish tragedy. Act 2. So, Act 2 Spanish tragedy as scene 1 to 6. So that's okay. Now, what happens here is just zoom it. Now, there are two important characters now here. Now, in Act 2, some of the characters are involved. I'll just get into those characters here. Now, you can see there is these characters are already introduced in Act 1. We have Lorenzo, we have Balthazar. Okay, now Lorenzo, who is Lorenzo, is L-O-R-E-N-Z-O. Lorenzo is the brother of Bellmperia. Okay? Brother of Bellmperia. Just like that. Now, who is Balthazar? Balthazar is the Prince of Portugal. Prince of Portugal. Right. Now, when Act 2 opens, there are two characters, Lorenzo and Balthazar. They are in discussion, and Balthazar discusses his love with Bellmperia. Now, Balthazar has fallen in love with Bellmperia. So I have said Bellmperia is the daughter of Lorenzo. Lorenzo is the Prince of Spain. Okay, now Balthazar falls in love with Bellmperia. Okay. So he falls in love with Bellmperia. Now what happens? And so Lorenzo has arranged a meeting between Balthazar and Bellmperia, but the meeting was not was not good for Balthazar. So he was not happy with the Balthazar was not happy with the meeting because Bellmperia did not talk to him to Balthazar friendly or any other way. There was no conversation, so it was just an introduction. So Balthazar is not happy when he says to Lorenzo போய் என்ன சொல்றான்னா, he says your sister might be in love with someone. So ஏன்னா அதிகமா பேசல அதனால so he says he might be in love with someone. யாரையோ காதலிக்கிறான்னு நினைக்கிறேன்னு சொல்லி யார் சொல்றான்னா, Balthazar says to Lorenzo. So Lorenzo calls Pedringano, another important character. So very important character. Note this character, Pedringano. Pedringano. So you can remember this, Pedringano. Okay. So Pedringano, who is Pedringano? Is the servant maid of Bellmperia. Okay, this now Lorenzo calls the maid of Bellmperia and asks if she is in love with anyone. If his sister is in love with anyone. Obviously, Lorenzo asks to Pedringano, but Pedringano is not aware of Bellmperia's love for Horatio. So there is so Bellmperia, what happens is she loves Horatio. So she loves Horatio. Who is Horatio? The friend of Andrea. Who is Andrea? Andrea is lover of ex-lover of Bellmperia. So this is connection. So every character has a connection. So now Bellmperia Horatio love பண்றது யாருக்கு தெரியாது, Pedringanoக்கு தெரியாதுன்னு சொல்றாங்க. So Lorenzo என்ன சொல்றாங்க, he asked Pedringano to keep a watch on Bellmperia's movement, and there is an accept. However, Lorenzo என்ன சொல்லிட்டு போறான்னா, he asked to keep a watch between Horatio and Bellmperia. Bellmperiaவும் Horatioவும் என்ன செய்யறாங்கன்றதை எனக்கு அப்டேட் பண்ண அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு போயிடும். So and Pedringano also accepts. Okay. Now there is a Act 2 scene 1 comes to an end. So in scene 1 Act 2 only two things, three important characters: Lorenzo, Balthazar, Bellmperia, Pedringano. Four important characters are introduced, and Lorenzo convinces Balthazar that his sister will surely love him, but Balthazar is not happy because in his first meeting with Bellmperia, nothing happened. Okay, there was no hope of her love for Balthazar. So Balthazar, he says he might be in love with someone, and Lorenzo calls Pedringano and asks her to keep a watch on Bellmperia. Okay, that's on scene 1. Now what happens in scene 2? I'll just rub it out. Okay, now we'll go to the second scene of Act 2. What happens here? Horatio and Bellmperia, they meet in the garden. They are watched by Lorenzo and Balthazar, and Horatio and Balthazar vow their love. So they express their love. Now, they decide to keep their love as a secret. So it is a secret. They decide to meet at Horatio's father's garden tonight, and Lorenzo decides to send Horatio to eternal night. Eternal night is death. Okay, now what happens? See, now Horatio, as I said earlier, Horatio and Bellmperia are in love. They are in love. They are in love, and in scene 2, they confess their love. So it was earlier. It was not confessed. Now they confess. They confess their love, but this is watched. Not mistake. Pen is not open. Fine. Oh, fine. Okay. Now, in the earlier, they did not confess the love. Okay. In Act 1, நீங்க பார்த்திருக்கலாம். Bellmperia asked Horatio to wear the scarf of Andrea. Andrea கழுத்துல போட்டிருந்த அந்த ஸ்கார்ப்பை ஹொரேஷியோட்ட கொடுத்து அணிய சொல்றான். Okay, that's the first confession. Now in Act 2, both Horatio and Bellmperia confess their love each other, and they decide to keep their love a secret one, but they are watched by Lorenzo, brother, and Balthazar. They watch the meeting of Horatio and Bellmperia. Okay. And they also decide, okay, Bellmperia-வும் Horatio-வும் என்ன decide பண்றாங்க? They decide to meet in Horatio's father's garden. Okay. And now Lorenzo plans to murder Horatio. Okay. Now that plan happens in Act 2, Scene 1. Now Act 3, what happens? Let me erase all those things. Fine. Okay, so now I'll just have a recap. So Act 2, Scene 1, Balthazar is not happy because Bellmperia has not responded properly, and Lorenzo convinces Balthazar that his sister will fall in love with Balthazar, and Lorenzo calls Pedringano to keep a watch on Horatio and Bellmperia. And in Act 2, Scene 2, what happens is Horatio and Bellmperia meet in the garden, and they confess their love each other, and they decide to keep their love secret, and they decide to meet tonight in the garden of Horatio's father. And this is watched by Lorenzo and Balthazar, and Lorenzo now decides to kill this man, Horatio. Now what happens in Act 3? Act 2, Scene 3. Now it opens in the court of Spain. Court of Spain, brother. There are 3 characters. Fine, I take my pen. King of Spain. King of Spain. There. Brother is there. Okay, ambassador of Portugal. Ambassador of then it's not good. Fine. So the ambassador of Portugal is there, and there is a diplomatic meeting. Sorry, something went wrong. Sorry, something went wrong. No. Now in scene 3, the ambassador of Portugal, okay, is there, and they are in the port for a diplomatic meeting. Diplomatic. What is diplomatic? Very neat. Diplomatic na ஒரு சுமூகமான ஒரு முடிவு பெறதுக்கா. நான் ஜெயிச்சிட்டேன் அப்படின்றதாக முடிவை வேகமாக நினைச்சு ஸ்பெயின் எதுவும் எடுக்காம போர்ச்சுகல் அம்பாசிடரோட என்ன பண்றாங்க, ஒரு சுமூகமான ஒரு உடன்படிக்கைக்கு வர்றாங்க. அதான் டிப்ளமேட்டிக் உடன்படிக்கை, சுமூகமான உடன்படிக்கை. So there is a diplomatic meeting, and this diplomatic meeting எப்படி எண்ட் ஆகுதுன்னா, now they decide to arrange a marriage between Balthazar and Bellmperia. Is that diplomatic? Okay, now, see, you can see now Spain has won the war, and Portugal has to surrender to Spain. Instead of surrendering, now what happens is they go for a diplomatic marriage. So in the diplomatic marriage, so now what happens is Portugal has to accept whatever the Spain gives as a bride price for Balthazar to marry Bellmperia. So for Spain நாடு பல்தாசருக்கு என்ன கொடுக்க நினைக்கிறதோ அதை அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறோம். அதான் இந்த டிப்ளமேட்டிக் மேரேஜ்ல நடக்க போகுது. So the king of Spain accepts the release of Balthazar, but gives the condition that the ransom amount. What is ransom? பிணை தொகை. யாருக்கு? பல்தாசருடைய. For ransom for Balthazar has to be paid. So பிணை தொகை கட்டாயம் கொடுக்கப்பட வேண்டும். Marriage Balthazar and Bellmperia marriage யார் அக்செப்ட் பண்ணிக்கிறார்? King of Spain accept to the ambassador, but the ransom amount has to be paid without fail. That is the condition. So the ambassador leaves the court, and now the brother of King of Spain. Okay, now the brother of King of Spain, brother is there. So he asks the King of Spain to talk to her daughter Bellmperia if she has any objection to the marriage. Brother of King of Spain யார்கிட்ட பேச சொல்றாரு? Bellmperia போய் மேரேஜுக்கு எதுவும் அப்ஜெக்ஷன் இருக்கா அப்படின்றத கேட்க சொல்றாரு. He wants brother of King of Spain wants if to discuss or to talk to Bellmperia if she has any objection to the marriage with Balthazar. And King of Spain accepts and decides to go to Bellmperia to confirm the willingness of her daughter to marry Balthazar. So the Act 2 Scene 3 comes to an end. Let me rub it out and let me get to this Act 2. Sorry, I have made a mistake here. Okay, I have typed a mistake with that. Let me rub it out. Now Act 2 Scene 4. What happens? No, I have made a mistake here. So it is not Act 4, I'll just Act 3, Act 2, Scene 4. So it's just a typing mistake, copy paste mistake on it. Okay. So Act 2, Scene 4. Now this is a turning. The drama takes a turn again. The most important thing here. The drama takes again another turn. What happens is, as I said in the we have seen Act 2 Scene 2. Now Horatio, Bellmperia and Horatio have decided to meet in the Horatio's first garden. And now they are going to meet. Now Horatio, Bellmperia and Pedringano, three characters, they enter Horatio's garden. Hieronimo. Okay, Hieronimo யாருன்னு தெரியும்? Who is Hieronimo? H-I-E-R-O-N-I-M-O. Who is Hieronimo? Father of Horatio. So, the moon characters they are Horatio, Bellmperia, and Pedringano. Okay, moon character. They come to the garden of Hieronimo's father's Hieronimo's garden. Okay. Now, Bellmperia asked Pedringano to keep a watch. So Pedringano போய் நீங்க யார் வராங்கன்னு பாருன்னு சொல்றான். ஆனா Pedringano என்ன பண்றான்? He informs to Lorenzo. Lorenzoக்கு தகவல் கொடுத்துறான். Okay, and Lorenzo and Balthazar come to the garden. Okay. கூடவே யார் வர்றாங்கன்னா லொரென்சோவுடைய வேலைக்காரன் செர்பிரைன். Okay, Serbrin. Who is Serbrin? Servant of, see, we can put it in brackets, servant of Balthazar. Servant of Balthazar. Serbrin, okay. Serbrin, servant of Balthazar வேலைக்காரன். So they enter. Now, as soon as they enter, what happens is Serbrin stabs Horatio several times. கம்பால எடுத்து அடிக்கிறான். Now he hangs Horatio on the tree, the garden. Lorenzo tracks Bellmperia, his sister. She cries for help, but no, nothing happens. Okay, so Act 2, Scene 4, Horatio, Bellmperia, and Pedringano, they meet in the garden of Horatio's father. Pedringano என்ன பண்றான்? Bellmperia போய் வாட்ச் பண்ண சொல்றான். But Pedringano informs to Lorenzo, and Lorenzo, Balthazar and his servant Serbrin மூணு பேர் வர்றாங்க. வந்து Horatioவை அடிச்சு they hang him on the tree of Hieronimo's garden. And they go and they drag Bellmperia. And they lock her in a room. That happens in Act 2, Scene 4. Let me rub it out. Okay. Now Act 2, Scene I will okay, I did the same mistake. Sorry. Okay, now I will just take my red pen. Okay, now Act 2, Scene 5 happens. Hieronimo wakes. He runs into the garden. In the garden, he sees his son hanging on the tree. He calls his wife Isabella. They bring Horatio down from the tree. They find Horatio dead. Hieronimo takes the blood-stained cloth of Horatio and vows for marriage. Now, there's another one character. Isabella, we have seen this character in the Act 1 itself, but still this is here. See, now when they drag Bellmperia, she shouts, and the shout makes Hieronimo wake. He wakes from his bed and he comes to his garden. And when he comes to the garden வந்து பார்க்கும்போது Horatio என்ன பண்ண தொங்க விட்டுருக்காங்க. Horatio hangs on the tree, and he calls his wife Isabella. So wife of Hieronimo. So wife of Hieronimo. H-I-E-R-O-N-I-M-O. So Hieronimo's wife. and they bring the dead body, the body of Horatio down, and they find he's dead. And now, as a father, he is totally disturbed, and he vows to take revenge. So, பழி வாங்குறதுக்கான revenge, பழி வாங்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது சத்தியமாக. Now you see here, it's a revenge tragedy. So, எத்தனை பேர் revenge எடுக்கிறாங்க? When the play opens, you can see Andrea takes the revenge. Andrea is with the spirit, with the revenge spirit. From the underworld. Okay. Andrea has come to the earth with the revenge spirit from the underworld. அடுத்து ஒரு revenge நடக்குது. இங்க Lorenzo Lorenzo seeks revenge for Horatio's love. இது ஒரு ஓகே. ஸோ லொரென்சோ என்ன பண்றான்? அவன் தங்கச்சியை காதலிச்சதுக்காக பழி தீர்க்கணும்னு தீர்க்கிறான். And there is yet other two. Okay, see, this is a revenge tragedy. எல்லா கதாபாத்திரங்களும் இங்கே பழிவாங்க துடிக்கிறாங்க. And there is Horatio who seeks revenge for the death of his friend. For the murder of Andrea கொல்லப்பட்டதுக்கு இவனும் பழி தீர்க்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறான். And there is Bellmperia seeks revenge for the murder of Andrea, her lover. So இத்தனை பேரும் ஏறக்குறைய முக்கியமான கதாபாத்திரங்கள், the main characters in the play, they are moving towards seeking revenge. இப்ப புதுசா யார் வந்திருக்கா? There is another character, ஹீரோனிமாவும் என்ன பண்றான்? ஹீரோனிமோ seeks revenge for the death of his son, மகன் யாரு? Horatio. அப்ப எத்தனை ரிவெஞ்ச் கேரக்டர்ஸ் பாருங்க. பழி வாங்குறதுக்காக ஒரு ஆண்ட்ரியா ஒரு கேரக்டர், லொரென்சோ ஒரு கேரக்டர், ஹொரேஷியோ ஒரு கேரக்டர், பெல்லிம்பீரியா ஒரு கேரக்டர், ஹீரோனிமா. ஸோ 5 main characters who are moving in the play to take revenge. So, and for this reason, this is a revenge tragedy. Revenge tragedy here சொல்றோம்னா, see, all the main characters in the play are moving to take revenge for some personal reason. ஏதோ ஒரு personal reasonக்காக பழி வாங்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி துடிச்சுக்கிட்டாங்க. ஓகே, நான் இது எப்படி முடியுதுன்னு பார்ப்போம். இந்த காட்சி எப்படி முடியுது அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம்னா, see, Act 2, Scene 6. I will just drop it out. Okay. So again, I'll just read it. So here is Act 2. There is Act 2. Fine. Get my. Fine. Now, Act 2, Scene 6 is very simple. Now, these are the things going on. Okay, now there is again the ghost of Andrea. ghost of Andrea. Okay. Now, ghost of Andrea is upset or is disturbed because his friend is dead. Because his friend Horatio is murdered. So, ஆக்சுவலாக ஆண்ட்ரியா கோஸ்ட் வந்து பழி வாங்குறதுக்காக பூமிக்கு வந்திருக்கான். ஆனால் இப்போ வந்து அவனுடைய ஃப்ரெண்டே கொல்லப்பட்டவன் நமக்கு இஸ் அப்செட். ஸோ அதனால கோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆண்ட்ரியா யாரோட வந்திருக்காங்க? எஸ் கம் வித் ரிவெஞ்ச் ஸ்பிரிட். கூடவே யார் வந்திருக்கா? ரிவெஞ்ச் ஸ்பிரிட்டோட வந்திருக்காங்க. ஸோ இந்த ரிவெஞ்ச் ஸ்பிரிட்டை பார்த்து சீக்கிரம் என்ன பொண்ணவங்களை பழி வாங்குறதுக்கான வேலையை பாரு அப்படின்னு சொல்லி யார் சொல்றாங்க? ஆண்ட்ரியா ஆஸ் ரிவெஞ்ச் ஸ்பிரிட் டு சீக் த ரிவெஞ்ச், fasten the revenge. Fasten the revenge. யாரை பார்த்து? ஆண்ட்ரியான்ற கோஸ்ட் பார்த்து. ஸோ ஹியர் ஆக்ட் சீன் வந்து முடியுது. ஆக்ட் 2 scene 6 comes to an end. Now we have seen here. So what are the things? Act 2 has 6 scenes. Scene 1 la, I'll just put it in a very simple term. Act 2 scene 1 la, Lorenzo and Balthazar, they discuss, and Lorenzo promises that Bellmperia will love Balthazar, and Lorenzo calls Pedringano to keep a watch on Bellmperia. That's scene 1. Scene 2 la என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா, Horatioவும் Bellmperiaவும் they confess their love for each other and they decide to meet in Horatio's father's garden, Hieronymus garden, tonight. அதோட scene 2. Scene 3 la, there is a diplomatic meeting between the King of Spain and the Portugal Viceroy. And diplomatic meeting la enna முடிவாகுது அப்படின்னா, what happens is a marriage is fixed between Bellmperia and Balthazar, but the ransom amount for the capture of Balthazar has to be paid. So பிணைத்தொகை, பல்தாசரை பிடிச்சதுக்கான பிணைத்தொகை கட்டாயம் பே பண்ணப்பட வேண்டும். Otherwise the marriages are fixed. முடியும் போது the brother of King of Spain asks the King of Spain to get the confirmation from his daughter Bellmperia. Okay. And scene 4 பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, it opens in the garden of Hieronymus, Horatio's father. ஸோ 3 பேர், Horatio, Bellmperia, Pedringano, 3 பேர் தோட்டத்துக்கு போகிறாங்க. And Bellmperia asks Pedringano to keep a watch, but Pedringano informs Lorenzo, and Lorenzo Balthazar அவனுடைய வேலைக்காரன் Serbrine takes the wood and beats Horatio and kills him and hangs him on the tree. And Lorenzo takes away Bellmperia. ஸோ அப்படி போகும்போது கத்திட்டே ஹெல்ப்பு கத்துறான். ஸோ அதோட போயிது. Scene 5 la சத்தம் கேட்டு யார் எந்திரிக்கிறான்? Horatio wakes up and finds his son hanging on the tree. When he informs it to his wife Isabella, when they bring the body of Horatio, இவன் ஒரு ரிவெஞ்ச் எடுக்கிறான் for the death of his son, so murder of his son. மகன் கொல்லப்பட்டதுக்கு பழி வாங்கணும்னு சொல்லி உறுதி இருக்கும். And scene 6 la பார்த்தா, the ghost of Andrea is upset because his friend is dead. ஸோ அதனால் ரிவெஞ்ச் ஸ்பிரிட்டை போட்டு சீக்கிரம் பழி வாங்க, இல்லாட்டி எல்லாரும் சாகப்பட வேண்டும், எல்லாரும் செத்துருவாங்க போல அப்படின்னு சொல்லி he fastens the revenge. There comes Act 2. Act 2 closes that. So thank you, dear students. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, give a thumbs up. Thank you.